On your notes, I've given you the formula for slope. I haven't written it up here yet. I'm going to follow the template that I gave you. Make sure that's glued in, by the way. But there's two ways that we're going to talk about finding slope, and one is when you're given 2 points. Another is when you're given a graph of 2 points. So we're going to start by looking at how we find slope when we're given 2 points. And of course we're going to always go back to that formula. And I'd like for you to go ahead and rewrite the formula. It's up top in your notes template. But slope is equal to y2, which just represents the y value in your second order pair, minus y1. And really it's just talking about or describing the change in y. How did y change? And that is going to come over, this is a ratio, over the change in x. And the change in x is found by taking that second x value and subtracting that first x value from it. So remember we talked about when you're finding slope, it's like you're picking up your foot, that's that change in y, and then stepping over to go up the stairs or go down the stairs. That's that change in x. So first you go up, how far up did you change? And then how far over did you change? Slope is the ratio of the change in y over the change in x. So we're going to use that formula and take these 2 points and find the measure or the slope of those 2 points. So the next place in your notes template says substitution. So you're going to substitute the values in your formula, the variables in your formula, for these values in your ordered pair. And I'm just going to color code them real quickly, or mark them real quickly. So really easy. Here's your first ordered pair. Of course, every ordered pair is made up of an x coordinate and a y coordinate. And since this is your first ordered pair, this is going to be x1, y1. Please label them. And since this is your second ordered pair, that's going to be x2, y2. If you haven't done so, go ahead and label both. And now I'm just going to substitute. I'm just going to drop in these values for these variables. So I'm going to replace y2 with the value for y2, and that is 3. This subtraction symbol has to stay because that's how we find the difference and we measure the change. And our first y value, we're going to replace it with 6. And I'm going to do the same to find the change in my x values. Okay, we're going to replace x2 with the number 2 and x1 with the number 5. So let me just backtrack for a moment. This formula will never change. Our values here will be given, and we're going to substitute those inside our formula. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So now we're just going to subtract. 3 minus 6, we're taking away more than we have, so we're going to add the opposite. We're going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. So even though we're adding integers, because the signs are different, we're going to subtract. There are more negatives than positives, so what kind of answer are we going to get? Negative. So positive 3 plus negative 6 is? Negative 3. Let's go ahead and do this down here. Positive 2 plus negative 5 is? Negative 3. Now we can simplify this. I have 2 negative numbers, so we'll start with that. Whenever we divide a negative by a negative, we get a positive. And what's any number divided by itself reduced to? Very good, 1. So our slope here is actually 1. So that's the process when you're given 2 points. Let's look at the process when you're given a graph. I'm going to slide this over so it's not slanted as much. Okay, so when you're given a graph, you're going to have to actually find the points. So they've drawn our line in here. They actually have given us some points. I'm not sure how well it showed up on your notes template. But they should have identified point. What is this when we go to the left one and up one? Who can give me that order up here? Yes? Negative 1. You're awesome. Negative 1, 1 is this one. Okay, what about this one when we go to the right 2 and then up 3? Can someone give me this order up here? Yes, ma'am. 2, 3. Awesome. And really it doesn't matter which one you make your first point and your second point, but I always like to read a graph from left to right. So this is going to be my first order pair, or my x1, y1. And this is going to be my second order pair, or my x2, y2. And then we're going to plug those into our formula. What I love about math is that it's consistent and we get to use the exact same formula. So I am going to ask, just for notes, that you rewrite it. So that is slope is equal to the change in y, or y2 over y1. And we're going to divide that by the change in x, or x2 minus x1. And we're just going to plug those values in. So our second y value is 3. Our first y value is 1. We're always going to subtract, so that's not going to go anywhere. Did you have a question? I saw that your hand was in the air. Okay. X2 minus, pay attention to that, that's a negative 1. So we've got some double negatives there. What are we going to do when we have minus and negative? Yes, ma'am. Are you stretching?
No.
Okay, okay. Boom, boom. Who can, when we boom, boom, what are we doing when we boom, boom? Yes, sir. Over here. Positive and negatives. And what are you doing? What are you going to do with the subtraction and this negative sign? Oh, I like how you said that. It's going to turn into a positive. You're going to add the opposite. And I know many of you are going to say the same thing. Very good. So now it's going to be plus a positive 1. 3 minus 1, of course, class is? Class, 3 minus 1 is? 2. Class, 2 plus 1 is? 3.
I thought you were supposed to add the opposite and the one on the top, too.
You could. Absolutely. I didn't hear but you could. You definitely could. Absolutely. Yeah. But you are certainly right. You could. So the slope here is 2/3. Can this be reduced? Can you reduce 2/3?
Yeah.
Yes, no? No. So that is your slope.